Chapter 1. A Credible Threat. War is an evil thing, but to submit to the dictation of other states is worse. Deterrence is usually associated with nuclear weapons, using the so-called nuclear deterrent to protect a country from external threats.
So deterrence is an interesting concept because it's really the cornerstone on which NATO is built. What it comes down to in civilian language is the understanding that if an enemy does something to you, you will retaliate with force unimaginable.
However, deterrence is all around us. It's embedded in nature, in our nature. We all use it in our daily lives. When someone threatens us, when our physical existence, our home, or our vital interests are under threat, the most effective way of defending ourselves is to deter that threat by showing to the potential aggressor that we can hit back, that we can and will hurt them too, and that the cost of their actions is going to be greater than the benefit. In other words, that if they go ahead with their threat, they will simply regret it.
So I think the difference between, say, defense and deterrence is like imagining defense is you lock your front door. Deterrence is telling everybody that you will shoot them if they come through your front door. It is that concept of retaliation.
Sir Lawrence Freedman described deterrence as setting boundaries for actions and establishing the risks associated with the crossing of these boundaries. Put simply, deterrence is a mechanism of regulating other people's behavior so as to avert a negative outcome. Animals use body language to deter potential aggressors. Parents deter their children from behaving badly. Lovers deter each other from being unfaithful. Societies deter lawlessness by punishing criminals. States deter potential aggressors by threatening to match or exceed their violence. Against the backdrop of the Cold War, Thomas Schelling was one of the first scholars to develop the theory of deterrence. He identified war as a bargaining process, where the opposing sides try to influence each other's decisions with threats, actions, and promises. For Schelling, deterrence is essentially about persuading a potential enemy that it is in their own interests to avoid a certain course of action. The most important factor for deterrence to work is credibility. Your threat has to be credible. You have to be seen to be capable of carrying it out. At the center of deterrence is this idea of projecting power. If you can persuade your adversary that you are powerful, they are less likely to attack you. It is perhaps a paradox that the more open, liberal, and democratic a country is, the less likely it is to threaten or use violence. Unless oppressed or provoked, people do not have an appetite for risking their lives, especially when the horrors of war are still fresh in their memory. The alternative to deterrence is appeasement, a strategy favored by many after the horrors of World War I. The Munich Agreement of 1938, signed by the UK, France, Italy, and Germany, allowed the Nazis to annex Sudetenland, a region of Czechoslovakia that was home to over 3 million people. Appeasement failed. Less than a year after Munich, Hitler had invaded the rest of Czechoslovakia, then Poland. World War II had begun. With Europe in ruins, with appeasement tainted by the blood of 75 million people, and in order to protect their security and freedom once and for all, the victors of World War II turned to appeasement's direct opposite, nuclear deterrence.